But then at the same time, we can't comprehend it. And that's, for me, that's what I keep coming back to. That's why my limited thinking, I don't know, I struggle. But you're atheist if you don't believe in Greek gods. 100%. And you read the definition. Am I wrong?
In your opinion.
Am I wrong? Are you?
So I don't see. Egyptians that had gods. The Egyptians.
They had deities.
They were stories. They didn't believe anything.
No, they did.
They believed in one god. The Egyptians believed in one god, and those are all stories, like fairy tales, like Father Christmas is for me and you.
I like Father Christmas. He was good to me.
The Greeks,
He's not real though.
Yeah, he's not real. But likewise, the Greeks did the same stories from the Egyptians and applied to themselves. They probably had a monotheistic mindset, but had different stories.
No, but
the Kemet guy told me this. The ancient Egyptians never had a lot of gods. They had one god.
But I'm not Kemet.
Yeah, I'm not saying you are. But I'm saying they believe in one god anyway. So as far as we know, we can't call them atheists. Yeah, they're not atheists.
Yeah, but they
one god or many gods.
You're misunderstanding the definition of atheism. Remember, it's not about whether you're a Muslim or not.
I have what you're saying.
Atheism just means lack of belief in a god. That's it. It doesn't matter whose god it is, what god it is, how many gods it is, polytheist, monotheist, it doesn't matter.
Based on what?
The definition that your Muslim brother just
lack
read.
I don't know. When it's a lack of belief, because, for example, I don't believe in unicorns, right?
Why?
Now, I may have my reasons.
Why?
No, I may have my reasons.
Yeah.
So when an atheist doesn't believe in the creator, they must also have some reasons, right?
Not necessarily.
So you can disbelieve in something without any reasons.
You would probably describe me as an atheist, right? Because the God's concept, I struggle with it. I'm being honest.
Why do you struggle?
Right. Well, I spoke to Ahmed, a Somalian brother. He's so hard. I love him. He said to me, I was explaining, my life is this, I've got a wife, we've got 2 kids, one on the way, blah, blah, blah. I work, we go on holiday, da, 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 da. He said to me, Allah made it so. And I was like, okay. If that is the case, I'm just going to live. If he's giving me this life, I'm going to live. And then he's like, oh, but what about when you die? And I was like, well, I'll tell him thanks, you gave me a great life. And I'm being honest, I struggle with the God concept. And it's not.
What of those concepts of God you find troubling or struggling?
Yeah, no.
What about
the Islamic view about God being inconceivable?
God is not inconceivable.
Oh, that's new information for me. I didn't know that.
When you say, okay, I think we need to understand what we mean. When you say inconceivable, it means what?
Cannot conceive of. Anything that you can think of is not.
No, that is correct. The reason being, God is unlike the creation. So whatever you imagine is the creation and the information that you have about the creation. You can't imagine things which is beyond your reach of imagination. You can only imagine things which is you're able to, right?
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
My problem stems now is where you start applying attributes to the thing that you can't
so let's go
comprehend.
one point at a time. Anything that you can imagine is not God, is because whatever you can imagine is what you're able to imagine. God is unlike anything in the creation. Yeah?
According to the Islamic view, I will agree with that.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
So according to this, of course, whatever concepts that you or image that you have, clearly is not going to be of God. But the fact that the creator exists, who created this universe, he has...
According to the Islamic view.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go from the very beginning then.
No. Let's keep going where we were. Where we were was
because
good.
hypothetically it's not any good.
Yeah.
We exist.
Agreed.
This universe that we can think exists.
Agreed.
We can see it exists.
But I agree because it's demonstrable.
Okay. So this universe,
Yes,
this
sir.
cosmos around us,
Yes, sir.
what is your opinion? Has it always existed?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
And there's no way
There are options.
I'm limited in
There are
my thinking.
options. Either it always existed or it didn't. 2 options.
There's 3 options.
Which is?
It could have been something else and it changed into something else.
No, that means it always existed in a different form.
Yes.
Either it's
Yes,
either it's eternally
concede,
existing,
concede.
or
Concede.
it is not eternal.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Which one makes more rational sense to you, and why?
Always existed or just popped out of nothing.
Yeah, if it doesn't always exist, it means it must have popped out from nothingness.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you? Long time no see, brother. How are you?
How are you? Fine?
To be honest, both are just crazy. But
why-
and bear in mind, no, but
why
bear
are
in
they
mind,
crazy?
Bear in mind, I'm just regular old me.
We are all
I'm
regular old me as
regular
well.
old me, I don't
So
know.
am I.
I'm being
Regular
honest.
old me. We are all regular
I
old.
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but I understand why you would say which one makes more rational sense. The truth is, from my standpoint, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm like, for me,
Should
like,
we
but always
examine-
existed, no, wait, always existed blows my mind,
Of course.
right? But also, to spontaneously exist equally blows my mind. So
Out of these two options,
yes, sir.
I would say, because it's demonstrable again, that always existing is a more rational than not always existing. Okay? But again,
Why? No, why?
we'll have questions. I'll tell you why.
Tell me why. Tell me
I'll tell you
why.
why.
I need to learn.
I wouldn't say the universe always existing. I would say something must always exist rather than being nothing at one
that
point.
thing?
Okay. What is that thing is something that we can discuss later.
Okay.
But we need to know whether something always existed or something always didn't exist. If something always didn't exist, it means at one point this thing that we talk about didn't exist at all. So there was nothingness. Can nothingness, which has absolutely nothing in it, qualities-wise, attributes-wise, bring about something? The answer is no. So this universe, this universe, or these things that we talk about all around us, okay, the reality around us, couldn't have been at one point absolutely nothing. Because from absolute nothing, you get absolute nothing. That's rational.
Agreed.
Yeah. That means that option is not really rational. The other option is something has to always exist. Now, as to what always existed is the question.
Just because in your view this is more rational, that doesn't make it any more or less likely.
No, of course it does. Because if the moment you say,
rationale doesn't-
okay, let me tell you why.
Okay.
The moment you say there's a possibility something can come out of nothingness.
No, to be honest, we agreed. No.
So if something
But
doesn't
at the
come out of
same time-
nothingness,
But at the same time, I said from the premise, both ideas blow my mind.
yeah, it's a mind-blowing concept.
Yeah.
But still, we can examine them, critique them, and see which one makes sense.
Okay.
The one that says
Nothing from
at
nothing.
what nothing from nothing, we know nothing from
No, sorry,
nothing.
something from nothing.
Nothing. That doesn't make sense.
I struggle with that.
It's not struggling. It doesn't make
struggle
sense.
with that. No, I struggle with that concept.
I would say it doesn't make any sense because if it's nothing, you cannot get something out of this nothing.
I'll be honest.
What are you struggling
And today,
again?
for what we know today, I understand why you're saying that. However, knowledge progresses.
Okay, look.
Things may change. No, I understand what you're saying.
No.
and
Even
I
if
don't
we
have
give,
a-
if you give 1 billion years in the future of knowledge, nothing still will be nothing. That's what we mean by nothing. Nothing.
No, we don't know that. That's not an absolute
No.
fact.
We want to now tell you and define what nothing is.
Okay. That's important.
Have you heard of Professor Lawrence Krauss?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
He
sir.
unfortunately has been deceiving a lot of people by saying the universe came from nothing, while his nothing is not nothing. His nothing is made up of
So
something.
his nothing has attributes.
His nothing
and
is
therefore it
something.
Is not nothing.
He says that in his book, in his lectures. His nothing is something. Okay? So he's playing a very deceptive game here, right? So we know if something, when we say nothing means it has no energy, no quanta, it has no quarks, no gluons, no bosons, no Higgs, whatever you call it. Nothing, no gravity, no fluctuation, no space, no matter. It is basically absolutely nothing. That nothing cannot make something like energy, or space, or matter, or quanta, or waves. It cannot do that. So if at one point there was absolute nothingness, there will be absolute nothingness. But the fact that something exists means there wasn't absolute nothingness at one point. Cannot be. There has to be always something.
Something has to be all. Yes, I understand.
It's
why
difficult
you
to
yeah.
accept it, but it's true.
No. It's not as difficult to accept. I just need a minute. Hang on a second.
Take your time.
Right, I will. Right, I understand why you're saying that. But equally, as I said to you, I struggle with the always has been. Because who then created the thing that was always been. And the problem with that premise is you get infinite regression.
No, there's a solution to that.
No, there isn't.
Unless
you say uncaused cause.
Exactly.
No, but that's the same thing as nothing from nothing.
No, it's not.
Uncaused cause.
It's not.
I'll tell you.
Explain.
Remember,
Explain your position.
In my limited thinking, uncaused cause and something from nothing are equally as absurd.
No. When we say nothing has no energy.
No, you've explained that.
No.
But for me,
this
premises are just.
Wait, bro. Let's really examine it properly,
Yeah,
right?
go on. All right, let's do it.
Let's go back to this nothing concept again, which you agree with. There's no point, but I want to illustrate the point there. Something means something there's energy, okay, or matter, or waves, or what? There's something. Nothing is absence of all of that. So, if somebody postulates that something can come from nothing, that's absurd, irrational.
Agreed.
Right. That means, as a rational human being, which you are and I am, we have to reject this concept that something can come from nothing.
I agree that premise is absurd.
We have to reject it.
I agree.
Rationally.
No.
Why not?
Personally, I don't.
Why not?
I'm just an oddball. Let me tell you why. There are cereals, breakfast cereals, that I don't like. I'll buy them. That's just me.
Yeah.
But just because something is just absurd, I don't just reject it outright. I know it's there, I put it to the side, but I won't reject it outright.
Do you believe in the principle of non-contradiction?
I don't know.
Okay. Can something, say, be or not be at the same time? Can something exist or not exist at the same time?
According to science, yes.
Like, give me an example.
Yes.
Give an example. There is no such thing. Science operates on the principle of non-contradiction.
No, there's a state of being and non-being at the same time. I think it's.
No, you're talking about the Schrodinger's cat experiment.
Yes.
No. That's not about this. I'm talking about existence. As an example. Can, for example, you have something exist and not exist at the same time? The answer is no. You either exist or you don't exist. You can't be both. Our observation affects the life when we say about that cat, whether it's dead or alive. It's an effect of our observation. But when we say, can something be and not be, can something exist and not exist at the same time, you can't have either one. Can you have a married bachelor? Conceptually, no, impossible. If you're married, you're not a bachelor. If you're a bachelor, you're not married. It's impossible. This is
fundamentally yes, but you can be married and behave like a bachelor.
No, that's something different. You're not using semantics. We're talking about in reality. When we talk about someone who's married, can they really be a bachelor in the sense of bachelor? Of course not. So this is what we're talking about, the principle of non-contradiction. So if we say there is something and nothing, can something come from nothingness? We know that you cannot have that. Okay, it's either or. Either you can or you cannot.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's not about absurdity. It's about violating the very rational concept that we operate in our discussion. We use language.
Yes.
Language, logic is part of our language. So is our rationality, the concept that we have.
Agreed.
If we don't stick to those principles in communication, then we might speak gibberish and believe in anything.
Breaks down,
Yeah? So when we speak in language using these rational concepts, we know for certain nothingness cannot make anything. We have to reject that concept. Anything that says something can count up nothingness, we have to say no, you're talking gibberish. That's a gibberish thing.
Knowledge as we know it suggests that something cannot come from nothing.
At any time, bro.
Agreed.
Anytime.
No.
In the future.
We don't
know.
know.
Once we define nothing.
I would say and fully concede as is 100% correct.
Even in the future, when we define nothing as nothing, absence of everything, that principle will remain. Because you cannot have that principle saying, oh, actually nothing is something, then you're actually redefining what nothing is. We've already defined nothing is the absence of everything. So it doesn't matter a million years later, that nothing is the absence of everything.
I will say, I understand what you're saying. Things change.
What?
Changes.
Okay, what of the knowledge of the nothing will change?
I don't know. I'm not asserting that what you're saying is going to become incorrect in a million years. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what to understand
saying
is,
that things-
in a million years,
we learn.
what about the nothing would change? Are you saying we will now say yes, nothing can make something?
No, our understanding changes. Things change.
No,
Knowledge changes. Knowledge evolves.
but let's understand one thing. If we say nothing is the absence of everything,
Yes, sir.
billion years later, either the nothing is absence of everything or it's not absence of everything. If you say it's inclusive of something, then it's not nothing.
No. I'm not suggesting that the criteria of nothing will change. That's not what I'm saying.
Then you're saying absolute nothingness at one point in the future, without knowledge, can
As
make
is-
something.
As is,
Can make something.
we don't know.
In the future,
Yes, sir.
if you flap your arms, you can grow wings, right? We don't know. It's possible.
That's absurd.
It's possible, right?
But-
you can become a potato in the future. If you say, I want to be a potato, I want to be a potato, and in the future, no. If I want to become a potato in the future, I say, I want to become a potato. Maybe in the billions years later, I become a potato. It's possible, right?
No,
Why not?
because you'll be dead.
No. I want to be a dead potato.
No, you can't become a potato.
Why do you say you cannot? The question of cannot is something that we need to understand. I said you cannot have something out of nothing in the future. But you're saying, no, you can't say that. It's possible something
change.
comes out of. So, yes, you should then say, you cannot say cannot to anything. It's possible that you and I can become potatoes.
Hold on. Let me see. No, to me, it seems rational to say that our understanding of things will change as time goes on. For me, that seems rational. But to say you're going to turn into a potato on your own will in a million years is absurd for so many reasons.
Is it possible?
No,
Why not?
because you're dead. You're a human being.
no.
You can't change.
Listen. Why can I not transform into a potato? You into a banana? Why not? So now you're saying you can't, even though your knowledge of the science of today is very limited. You need to be consistent. Remember,
No,
we
I
need to-
understand. No, I agree with
So
that.
if you are
No, I agree with
consistent,
that.
you get-
my logic isn't consistent when you say can humans turn into bananas. I get that's where my logic breaks down, and I fully concede that.
so we can become a potato and bananas.
No.
You cannot say no. You can say only no as far as our knowledge go today, but in the future,
I mean,
we might do.
I'll qualify it. As is, from what I know and understand today, you will never become a potato or a banana or anything other than a pile of bones.
But it's in the future, it's possible.
Who knows?
No, you have to
But
say.
it sounds absurd, and I agree.
But
It's-
according to
yeah.
your principle of understanding things, it's possible in the future. We don't know today, but it's possible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah,
How
that's
about-
what you believe.
how about
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Right.
But it's extremely unlikely to the point of.
It's not about
it will
question
not.
about how likely it is. So
But
you can.
But you know. Sorry, what was your name, brother? Sorry.
Mansur, what's your
Mansur,
name?
Noel.
Noel,
Sorry.
nice talking to you, bro.
I know, Mansur, you ain't going to become a potato. But I understand the point you're trying to make. And I see exactly at that very point where my logic breaks down, and I get it. But for me, it doesn't seem absurd to say that in time, our knowledge of things grows and gets better. But then at the same time, I understand that absolute nothing remains absolutely nothing.
Yep.
The absence of nothing. And I get it. So for me to then say, when you say, do I become a potato, I see where the logic breaks down. But we know that that's absurd because you're going to become a pile of bones, you're going to go back into the earth, the worms
No,
are
no,
gonna
I
eat your
didn't.
flesh.
I didn't suggest this kind of possibility. Instant transformation into a potato.
No.
Your atoms rearranging. Okay, a lot of thermodynamics involved, a lot of
sir.
chemistry involved. They rearrange, and you become a banana, I become a potato. You're saying it's impossible, but I'm saying according to the principle that you are now using in this discussion, it's possible.
Yeah, I see, as I said, I can see and see where my logic breaks down. The problem is, I'm not well versed in science enough to say point A, point B, point C. But our experience tells us, sorry, when you die, we rot in the ground, or you're cremated. There's been absolutely no instance or no example that we can give that says a human being is transformed into anything other than pile of bones.
But you are again using the current science
Yes, sir.
and judging the
But
future.
But no. I said knowledge evolves. What we learn changes. We learn more as time
So
goes on.
in the knowledge in the future, it's possible that the things that we're describing, it's possible.
Yes, sir.
But now you realize how absurd this kind of thing is. That
Yes,
means,
sir. No, I consider that from.
imagine now, okay, just understand to clarify one point. So there are in watermelon, a banana, grapes, that means infinite number of things. Are you suggesting I can be all of that and you can be all of this? Then it will say, then it will actually,
semantic games and say yes, because if you die, you're into the ground.
No, I'm not talking about this kind of thing. In reality, exactly as it is.
Worms eat you.
No, not that.
Use the same worms.
No. I'm saying instant transformation into a
As we know,
fruit.
current science just
Right.
outright flex.
So once we have a principle where, yes, it's possible in the future that I can become a potato, you can become a banana, and so on. That means, I said, what about me becoming an orange? And it say, me becoming an avocado. And it say, yes. That means in the future, everyone has possibility of becoming everything else at any one time. But you know how absurd you won't be. Because at any one point, you can't have that. So all of this tells you, look, at one point, we have to say, look, these things are irrational to accept. We cannot accept that just because there is such a thing called probabilities and likelihood and possibilities. Even in mathematics, there is a number of what is possible. Okay, probability. We don't say it's probable. Say 10 to the power minus 50. That's probably a figure, a statistician. I don't know, right? I'm not a mathematician. Okay. We have to be real. So real means, given that the knowledge that we have today, we understand quite clearly something cannot come out of nothingness. So from our perspective today, there has been something always. Whether this universe has been always, or the one that originated this universe has always been there always. It makes more sense to believe the originator has been there always, who is the uncaused cause. Because if it was the universe, you would say, who caused the universe, and who caused the universe, who caused the universe, and eventually come to a point, you have to come to a point where this cause is uncaused.
I understand that. But again, I told you from the beginning, I struggle with that concept because an uncaused cause is the only way you can get out of.
That's the only rational concept.
Uncaused
Whether you
cause,
struggle with it,
the same.
no.
They're just as absurd.
Let me give you an example. If you're in a boat called the Titanic, remember that Titanic that sank, right? And you're saying, no, I'm not in the boat. I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna live. The boat is sinking. Water is up to your neck. He said, no. You can deny and you can be struggling. Look, you are so rich, because that's why you ended up in the Titanic. You are so rich. You're so happy. Luxury life. You came to the Titanic. At that point, it is very hard, and you will struggle to accept the reality, which is you are sinking. You are sinking. The fact that we exist, and there has to be something always, we may struggle, but that's the reality. We might want to say, no, it's not true. It's not true. It's not a fact.
No, but I've never said it's not true.
No, I'm saying we might struggle to accept it. How can it be? How can it be? But the reality is, this is how it is. We are in this Titanic called this world. And the fact is, there has to be always something which is uncaused. We can struggle. Your mind will be blind. Like, how can I accept that? But that is where we as Muslims, we say we surrender to this uncaused cause, because, as finite human beings, we know this is where it goes. We know that this is the case. This is why a Muslim is one who surrenders this. There's nothing worthy of worship, nothing worthy of our glorification and gratitude. This glorification that is deserving, except to God, only the creator, the originator of this universe, originator of everything. Yeah. So that's why when the Quran says, look, he is the one, al-awwal, the first, and he is the last, the al-akhir, meaning there's nothing before him, there's nothing after him. And God describes badi'us samawati wal ard. He is the originator of everything. So if something exists always, it essentially have inherent properties and attributes. I don't have to give them, it possesses it. By being there always, it inherently has those attributes.
I understand that concept. By definition, if you're a creator, you create. That's an attribute. No, it's not. That's by definition what you do. But where I was struggling with these other Muslim brothers, they was telling me God is just, He's merciful, and all this stuff. And I said, where are you getting that from? They said, from the Quran. And I'm like, well, those are attributes. Now, and I said to them, according to the Islamic view, is God inconceivable? And they said to me, yes. So I said, then isn't it absurd to say He is just, He is merciful? I know it says it in the book, but applying attributes to something you can't comprehend to me is insane.
So this is where clarification is needed.
Yeah.
We cannot totally comprehend God, but we can understand God exists, the creator, the originator. Let's call Him the originator to simplify things so that you don't struggle with the concept. A creator.
Okay. Yeah.
The creator who's uncreated exists. So that's something that we have to understand first of all. Does it make sense to us? Of course it does. If such an entity exists, uncreated creator, by definition, we have been created by this creator. Of course. Right. So we cannot know the attributes of this creator because we are finite, limited, dependent.
And that was my point.
Now, the only way we can know is what? When this creator informs us about its attributes.
Now that's where we're going to have a problem.
Why?
Because before you came, the Christian told me you was wrong.
No.
The Christian no, because that's the thing. The Christian told me that Jesus was talking to her.
Listen.
No. She told me Jesus was talking to her.
In principle, do you agree? The creator, when the creator informs the creation of who it is or who he is, that's the only way we can be sure about the attributes. Not the creation speculating about the creator.
Yeah.
In principle. Whether this communication came from through Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, that's a different question. But in principle, the attributes and qualities and the descriptions of this creator, it is only possible for us to know in its reality when it comes from the creator itself. Because I can speculate what this creator is, but that will be my speculation.
Of course.
And as my speculation could be an error. Right? Error. But when the creator communicates and informs us, then we know that this is what it is, because that's what it's describing. For example, you are a person, maybe people don't know you, right? But you became famous for whatever reason, but they haven't seen your face. But when you explain, look, I am this. I am about 5.5 foot tall, I'm this built, then people start building up the knowledge about you, because you told them now who you are. So when we're talking about the creator, when the creator informs us that he is the absolute, the perfect being who is hearing and seeing, then we know that this is his attributes. Yeah? So that's how the Quran describes. The Quran informs us about his attributes. So now if you bring all the religions in the world...
When you say the Quran informs you of his attributes, you're saying the stories in the Quran, you come to, because of the actions taken by God in the Quran, you're concluding that because God does A, he is
No,
A.
not like that.
No. Is that
It's totally different. The Quran is such a book of guidance that you'll be amazed when you read it. Have you read it? Yeah.
No, sir.
Right. When you read it, you'll be amazed. It describes who he is. It describes his actions, but it describes. For example, he says,
"God, I am green," or "I like gold."
For example, I am God, the first and the last.
Right.
I am God. Before me, there was no one else. I am the one who creates. I am the creator. I am the one who forgives. I am the one who is just. These relational attributes. I am the one who loves, or I am the one who is the loving one. I am the one who is the most kind. So God relates to us the relational attributes and tells us who he is. So he also shows in action how he is. He demonstrates his justice, his mercy, that he is the creator and so on. So he tells us who he is and who he is not. That's the difference. So when we examine different revelation, claims of revelation, different books or scriptures or sacred books, you can examine what it describes who this creator is. So if a book describes the creator is someone who puts his son on guard on front of the door to guard his wife, he's going somewhere and says, let no one pass this. And his son didn't listen, and he came back and he became very angry. He chopped the head of his son, and then he realized his mistake, oh, my son. And he looked around and he found an elephant, chopped the head of the elephant and put the elephant's head on his son. And that became Ganesh, god of the Hindus, right? The god of economics. You as a rational human being will say, that doesn't describe to me the eternal, perfect creator, originator of the universe. Because this eternal creator, he has a son, and he doesn't know whether his son's going to look after him, and then he... What all this? What is all this? He has a wife? Does it all make sense? Because this uncause cause can only be one absolute entity. One. There cannot be more than one.
Okay.
There cannot be more than one.
Okay.
So when it describes more than one, you know it doesn't make any sense. I know you know already, but just to illustrate your point, to make my point clearer, suppose now there are two absolute beings. One of them says, I want Noel to spin around 100 miles per hour on this spot. And you keep spinning because he's the absolute. But there's another absolute creator, originator. He says, now, I want you to be static like that and speaking to me. He's able to do that because he's all powerful by definition. What's going to happen to you? Are you going to keep on spinning? Are you going to be static and speaking to me? Options, possibilities, right? Either none of these things happen, would mean none of them are absolute. They failed miserably to do what they were intended to do. They didn't have the power to do that. Or you
cease to exist.
Then none of them.
If they are ultimate,
if you cease to exist, none of them are absolute, because they wanted you to spin without being non-existent, or be totally static without spinning. If you are static and you kept talking to me, at least from these two absolute entities, the one who wanted you to be static demonstrated his absolute power, but the other one failed miserably, and vice versa. You cannot have more than one absolute. That's why polytheism is not rational. So when
polytheism is lovely.
Not rational.
No, it's lovely.
It could be lovely, it's not rational.
They got many gods, and they all do different things.
Look.
That's all. It's delegation.
Look. When you have many gods, are they absolute? If they're absolute, imagine now, absolute means what? Absolute knowledge.
Yeah, no.
If one of
I hear
them,
what you're saying, but I'm saying, for instance, like the ancient Greeks had God of the sea, God of the sky, blah blah blah. They could be absolute in their particular field.
Then they're not absolute altogether. When you're absolute, you're not saying, oh, by the way, I don't know what's happening there. There's another God. Let me think. What is he thinking? Does he know what is he thinking? The other God? If you're all knowledgeable, you should find out. Can you destroy the other God? Say, okay, I want to totally be destroyed. Can he destroy the other God?
That depends. If that's one of his attributes, then yes.
No.
If that's what the God
Does he have the power?
can do,
Does he have the power?
If that's what the God of the
Does he have the power?
I wouldn't know.
There you go. So an absolute being has absolute power. That's by definition, you're perfect in your attributes. Because you didn't come into existence, you have this inherent attributes. So when this universe is here, it demonstrates this absolute entity is a possessor of power.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So his power will be unbound, unlimited, absolute.
I understand.
Yeah. So polytheism, from that sense, is not rational.
I understand why you're saying that, because you're obviously a monotheist, and that's fine.
For a reason, because it doesn't make any sense to believe in polytheism. Because polytheism,
But for them it does.
no, it's not about them. It's about you are a rational human being. As a rational human being, can you believe in that?
Not all the time rationale should trump everything.
Oh,
Sometimes
then this
just
is where
relax.
we have to end our
wait.
conversation.
Sometimes, but sometimes, just relax.
In reality,
Yeah, but no, sometimes.
if we suspend our rationality, then you can believe in anything. You can talk about anything.
Like, for instance, some guy just walks out and punches you in the face right now. Naturally. No. But wait a minute. Is that rational or irrational for you? If Mansur, if he's hit in the face and you jump to his aid, is that rational or irrational? Right. So it's irrational for you to stand back and let him deal with it himself.
No, it depends on my relationship to him. Possibly, you might not like the guy.
No, but what I mean is, you're saying it's rational for you to jump to his aid.
Because I know him.
I'm saying it's irrational for you to jump to his aid and let him deal with it himself.
I think we are
that's what
conflating the very concept of rationality. I think you're using a very different concept altogether. When we talk about rationality, we're saying that the reality around us, we will assess, we will examine this reality as it is. We are not going to say, for example, oh yeah, in this reality, can you see the pink flying elephants there? Yeah, there is there. You can't say it, well...
There are pink flying elephants, not real ones. Have you been to the fairground? There's those pink
reality.
ones. But I'll be honest, let me tell you. I understand where you're coming from. I do. Honestly, I do.
Sure.
But to me, I don't know.
Okay.
And also, when you say uncaused cause, I can't get there. Because for me, infinite regression for me is...
This is not infinite
the same as
regression.
magic.
This
It's
is
the
not-
same
this
as
is-
magic. It is.
Imagine...
Because if God has always been, that means he comes from nowhere. That's the only...
He doesn't have come from anywhere,
No,
he's there already.
No, but that's what I mean.
It's not about coming.
He's always been. That's to me, all I hear is magic.
You know, this is difficult for you to grasp,
Yes,
just
sir.
like as I
Struggle.
the example I gave you about
struggle.
Titanic.
For me, yeah.
People will struggle. The reality
Anyone-
maybe
anyone
the reality.
No,
look,
they all knew that ship was going out. At some point, they knew.
yeah,
you know
they
what I
knew.
mean?
So you already know that there has to be always something because there is no other
No,
alternative.
I don't.
What
already
alternative are
know
there?
that.
What alternative are there?
I don't know. But
You
but
know,
that's the
as a
thing.
rational human being, you know this is
No,
the
as a
only
rational human being,
rational.
as a rational human being, it would be wrong for me to say yes, Mansur. You know what? Actually, you're right. The reason why it would be wrong for me to say that is because I've spoken to Jews, guys from Kemet, Christians, those. Oh wow. Those wow. See, now for me, they're irrational.
They're emotional.
Yeah. Now for me, I'm like, well, no, for me it's magic. Uncaused cause always been for me.
When you say magic,
it's
do you know
magic.
what do you mean by magic?
Like smoke mirrors, fairy dust.
No, none of that.
and all this
None of
stuff.
that, none of
But that for me, that's what in my limited thinking, and I'll be honest, I can see that's what it is. That's what
But I
hear.
would not say this is anything magic. I would say, look, the reality, for example, some people might say, look, that tree doesn't exist. You might say that, right?
That's it. Which tree?
That tree.
That one.
No, that tree.
That one there.
You might say it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
but the reality is, independent of you making that statement, the tree exists. That's the reality we're talking about.
Agreed.
So you might struggle yourself, look, I don't accept that.
No, but don't forget what you said isn't true because other religious states will tell you that you're wrong.
No.
So whether it's your reality or not.
No.
Yeah.
The reality is, in any religion you go to, they cannot say there wasn't always something. Because the other option is there wasn't always something means there's nothing. So you have two camps. One camp is there's absolute nothingness, another camp is absolute something always. So we can see that camp which is absolute nothingness, we have to reject it.
Yeah. But is it right to call that thing then God?
No. That thing that always exists, that's why I'm saying we have to say this thing which is uncaused cause is the originator of the thing that followed. That's what I said earlier on. Let's make it something.
Uncaused cause is the originator.
Is the entity that brought about us now.
See, when you say us, do you mean the species?
No. This reality.
Oh, everything.
Yeah. Because that uncaused cause, the first cause, was the cause of us being here.
Yeah, but who caused the cause?
What
It's
cause?
uncaused. Who caused the first cause?
There is no
It's
first
uncaused.
cause.
No, there is.
They cannot have another cause.
Exactly, and that's the problem. Because unless you,
Look.
no, but because look, you're saying,
Look. I just want to make one point. Right?
Came together.
No, one moment. I
That's
just
the cause.
No,
of you.
wait.
Yes or no?
Excuse me. No, I want to make one point.
Go.
In any field of knowledge, there is a limit to the level of explanation.
Agreed.
At what point do you say, what's the explanation for that? For example, in forensic science, even in science, you say the water boils because of the Bunsen burner heating up the water. Okay, you can go on for that. But what's causing the Bunsen burner to heat it up? The chemical reactions. What's causing the... You can go
I see what
ad
you're saying.
infinitum,
No,
but
I hear
you
what
will
you're
have to accept that there is a cause that is actually making the water to boil. How far that cause is, a cause exists.
Okay,
You
no,
cannot
I'm with
then
you.
say, you
I'm
cannot
with
then
you.
say,
I'm with
oh,
you.
the cause goes on and there's
No,
likewise.
No, you can, but it's an insatiable waste of time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's impossible.
So you have to have a person, and you understand
well.
already. No. From the work, the discussion that
that's a
we
nice
have.
compliment. Thank you. That's nice.
So ponder a bit more on this,
Yeah, I will.
and open
To
up
be
the
honest with
Quran.
you,
Open
if
up the
I'm-
Quran,
Yeah.
which you haven't read. You will see the Quran actually speaks to you and answers those questions rationally, reasonably, that you and your heart and your mind can be content with.
I'll be honest with you, on Mansur. Let me be real with you. The chances of me opening the Quran is nil. Let me tell you why.
Why not?
Let me tell you why. I don't need religion. Any religion.
Do you need answers
No.
about this course?
No.
Why we are here?
No.
So you are quite happy when you die and that's it?
Yep.
What if you found out there was something else awaiting for you and a purpose which you didn't fulfill?
Fuck.
Well, that's your choice.
No, but that's real.
No, that's your choice.
But that's real, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's your choice, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So if this is your choice, this is all
Because
up to you.
don't forget. If I die,
The Quran, when we read the Quran,
Yes,
it
sir.
gives us certainty and tranquility in our hearts about why we're here, what we're doing here, what's going to happen after our death, and is it life eternal afterwards or not. So we have certainty, and that certainty gives us tranquility in our hearts in this life as well as what we'll have in the hereafter.
I'm okay with uncertainty.
That's up to you.
I really am.
Take care.
Listen, it's a love, sir.